Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. The Executive Chairman, Federal Revenue Service, all the coordinating directors here present, the management staff of the service, the tax consultants, and our esteemed critical stakeholders, the taxpayers. Once again, we want to welcome you to another exciting section of our webinar series, which is still on the updated VAT filing procedures on Taxpro. A lot of engagement sessions have been held, and we are continuing this morning with the taxpayers to get responses to their concerns raised by those taxpayers, questions and answers. And we have our technical team that will be doing justice to some of those concerns and questions. On this note, I want to welcome the ECFRS for out of his busy schedule for finding that time to be with us this morning. Once again, you are welcome, sir. Without much ado, we'll go straight to the section, and I have the privilege and honor to invite the Executive Chairman, Federal Revenue Service, the Chairman, John Tasbot, for his opening remarks. The EC. Thank you, sir.
Okay, distinguished taxpayers and their representatives, tax consultants, my colleagues, the coordinating directors, and all staff of FRS on call, good morning to all of us. It is my pleasure to welcome you to another engagement between members of the Federal Inland Revenue Service, FRS management, and the country's, the entire tax paying public, made up of taxpayers themselves, their representative, consultants, and other key stakeholders, including FRS staff, where we hope to provide you with responses to your feedbacks on the updated VAT filing processes on the Taxpro Max. I want to thank you for being present yet again. It shows that we are indeed in pursuit of common objectives for the good of our nation. I also want to thank you for your constant engagement with us, for the taxes you pay, for your concerns and feedback. Over the past 2 months, we have held various engagements with our taxpayers and stakeholders on the updated VAT filing procedure on the Taxpro Max. Our conversations have been very stimulating. It has helped us understand each other better, as well as identify and correct loopholes where they were found. The goal of this engagement has been to improve our service delivery, plug leakages, and improve tax collection in Nigeria. We have requested for this webinar to provide us an avenue to respond to the issues which you have raised with us over the past 2 months. In this period, we have made several updates to the Taxpro to accommodate those feedback and concerns. During today's session, our technical team will do a presentation on some of the latest updates that we have made to the Taxpro, which has incorporated some proposals from our stakeholders, as well as in response to some of the concerns you have raised. We would also want to receive further feedback and reviews on these changes. It goes without saying that the FRS is committed to its mantra of being a customer-centric institution. We reiterate that we are here to serve you best, to serve your best interest and that of our own country, the Federal Republic of Nigeria. As we continue to improve on our service delivery, we ask you to also continue to engage us positively. Please feel free to share your proposals to make tax administration easier and tax paying more convenient for all stakeholders. As I stated in our last meeting, our relationship is a partnership and not a contest. I urge us to continue to work together for the greater good of our nation. Once more, I thank you for joining this meeting, and I look forward to a productive and impactful engagement. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir, this FRS, for that wonderful remarks. Today, we are going to be having a lot of interactive session with the taxpayers. For those that have questions, have concerns, observations, or suggestions on how to improve the system, we'll be taking them so that we can have enough time to take as much questions as possible. So the floor will now be open for those that will be having questions and answer, question and contribution. Mr. Abiono Moses. Mr. Abiono Moses, please, if you are there, you can unmute and address us, please. Mr. Abiono Moses, are you there?
Are we not going to have presentation before that?
Okay, anyway, the agenda that there's a drawn. I don't know if there's going to, is the Taxpro team ready for us to take presentation? Taxpro team, Alai, are you there?
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Good morning, my chairman. Good morning, senior colleagues, and good morning, taxpayers. Yes, we are going to have a little presentation to show them the columns which have now been opened so that they can actually do the VAT claim, but that will be in like next 10 minutes or so. So you can continue the questions then before we start projecting, please. Thank you.
Okay, you are not ready for the presentation now?
Yes, sir. We're not ready for the presentation. The next 5 minutes or into the program, we will allow
so we can still take questions. Okay, all right.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Abiono Moses, can you unmute and talk to us, please? Mr. Abiono Moses, are you there?
He's muted. You need to unmute. He might be speaking.
Please unmute yourself, please. Shetima, please, can you unmute him, please?
Yeah, it's already unmuted.
Okay, maybe he's not
you
there.
You have to accept it.
Okay, maybe he's not there. So please, let's take another person. Mr. Oku Omaka. Mr. Oku Omaka, are you there? Mr. Oku Omaka. Mr. Kenny. Please, can you unmute him so that I can address us? Your hands are up. Maybe they are not there. Mr. Anthony, are you there? Mr. Anthony, are you there?
Wisdom.
Yes, sir.
I'm amending the program. Let Mr. Gojibola give them feedback.
Okay,
before,
sir.
Yeah.
All right, sir.
So please let him give them feedback
Okay, sir.
as we did to the task consultant yesterday.
All right, sir.
Then after he's done, let
Taxpro
Mass team
All right, sir.
do their own presentation. Then we take questions and answer
thereafter. All right, sir. On this note,
so Mr. Goshbala, please, can you share your screen?
All right, sir.
While you do our own presentation.
No presentation.
Good morning, colleagues, and I hope you can see my screen. The presentation, please, Wisdom, do we need, I think we should mute some microphones there. Yeah, I'm glad you can see my screen.
Shetima, please mute everybody for us, please.
Hello?
Sorry, go ahead, sir.
All right, thank you very much. Again, good morning, everyone. And this is a presentation we have done to explain the responses that the FRS had made to the various issues raised as regards the updated VAT module on Taxpro Max. And the way we will do it as fast as possible is to delve straight into the issues and to also explain what the service had done in response. We had made this presentation yesterday to the tax practitioners. Now we have broadened the scope so that those of us who are not opportuned to be part of the discussion yesterday, all of us can be on the same page. Recall that the issues that were raised on the new filing module were basically three issues. One was in respect of inability of taxpayers to receive instant credit for their output tax withheld by authorized persons. Two was issues of input tax on domestic purchases, which were not immediately available for taxpayer. And third was the issue of input tax on imports, which again, taxpayer claimed they could not receive immediate grounds on the system. Now, we will respond to those issues as follows. One of the issues also raised, which was a minor issue, was some complaint that perhaps requiring suppliers to provide TIN of their customers was not allowing filing of VAT returns. And we can respond that even though the law prescribes that suppliers should provide VAT invoice, which must indicate the TIN, what we have done as the FRS is to try and moderate that field such that where a supplier does not have the TIN of the customer, it can simply input 0, the figure 0, and then the system will allow the taxpayer to go along and file its returns. And we have also updated that feed such that the taxpayer could return and input the correct thing when it becomes available or if it becomes necessary. We are also working with our technical team that in the next update to the Taxpro marks, that feed will become non-mandatory, and such that whether or not you put anything, you'll be able to do your returns. But for now, you have to input 0 if you do not have the TIN of the customer. Now, as to the substantive issue of VAT input tax on domestic purchases, the following processes will now prevail going forward. One is that taxpayers, while filing returns, will be required to populate the schedule of purchases for that month. This will be in respect of only domestic purchases for which input tax is being claimed. And the schedule must be populated transaction by transaction. And of course, this is in line with Section 17. So we must be mindful that input tax claim is only made in respect of goods that had been purchased and sold, and that has formed part of the sales for that period for which output tax had been computed. Input tax in respect of purchases of goods which had not been sold should not be claimed in that month. The step number 2, just explaining to us that that schedule, the schedule of purchases, must include the name of the supplier, the TIN of the supplier, the address of the supplier, the description of goods or services, the invoice value, and the VAT paid. The information is available on the VAT invoice, which the supplier was issued to the purchaser. The third thing to note is that uploading the schedule of purchases is mandatory, and the information is compulsory for a taxpayer who wants to claim input tax. Number 4 is that input tax that had been uploaded would be granted pending verification. And what that means is that the service will adopt the principle of rebuttable assumption. We assume that those input taxes are correct unless we are not able to verify them. And then, if we are not able to verify them, we will return them disallowed. So in number 5, we will use all our best endeavors, including the system-to-system talking, to verify the input tax claims. If there are any input tax that we cannot verify, and what do we mean by verify? Verify here means we cannot locate the supposed supplier. Revert to the taxpayer for tracing. And if after a limited time working with a taxpayer who had claimed the input tax, we still cannot locate the said supplier, then the input tax will be disallowed, additional tax will be raised, penalty and interest will be imposed, and there will be prosecution for supplying the service with false information in line with the law. The second issue is the issue of input tax on imports. In the immediate term, currently, what we have on ground is that the FRS has access to customs data in respect of imports and VAT paid at the ports. And we already have these pieces of information on the Taxpro maps. And that data is being used to verify claims made by taxpayers. And so VAT on import that had been paid to Nigerian custom, you can claim it using the current line 130 on the Taxpro maps. Taxpayers are also able to manually enter the amount of VAT paid in respect of importation. But again, we draw your attention to the provisions of Section 17 of VAT Act as regards what input tax can be claimed and what input tax cannot be claimed. You recall that input tax on fixed assets, for example, cannot be claimed. You have to capitalize it along the cost of the asset. And those that are on overhead or expenses have to be expensed in the P&L account and not claimed. And then the service is working with the customs service to secure a system-to-system integration so that going forward, there will be no need to rely on historical data, but we are able to get customs VAT payment real-time and online. Now, beyond this, what are we proposing to do going forward? What we are proposing to do in the next update to the system is similar to this, what we had under the input tax on domestic purchases. So here, while filing returns, taxpayers will need to populate a schedule of imports, which we also show all the importations, item by item. And the schedule will show the name, the country of origin of the exporter, the goods that were imported, the details of the bill of lading, the invoice value, and VAT paid based on customs declaration. Again, this is all these pieces of information are easily available on the relevant import documents that we obtain in the course of clearing the goods. And we counsel that taxpayers that want to claim input tax must diligently complete this schedule and upload same. The templates will be available when the update is done. Input tax claimed on importation will be granted pending verification. And verification will be between the FRS and Customs Service to agree that indeed the VAT had been paid to the Customs Service. And if there's any unverified payment, we'll refer to the taxpayer for tracing. And if it remains unverified after a given time, then that input tax claimed will be disallowed, additional tax will be raised, penalty and interest will be imposed, and prosecution will follow for providing false information, all in line with the extant laws. Then the third issue has to do with the output tax withheld by authorized persons. You will recall that under the law, some entities, including ministries, departments, and agencies of government, companies operating in the oil and gas industry, and recently, money deposit banks and 2 telecom operators were authorized to withhold output tax and remit same directly to the FRS. And so where a taxpayer's output tax had been so withheld, then while filing the monthly returns, the taxpayer is required to provide a schedule of VAT withheld, called the withheld VAT schedule. This also is similar to that of the schedule of purchases or schedule of imports. The schedule shall include the name, the address, the TIN of the withholding person, what was the supply you made, what was the invoice amount, and the amount of VAT that was withheld. And while you upload this system will allow you and grant you credit temporarily pending confirmation. So you can go ahead and file your returns based on your own computation, taking into consideration all those credits. The service will internally match those claims with the payment or remittances received from the withholding persons. And anyone that we could not verify, that is where we could not trace the person the taxpayer claimed had withheld his output tax, will be referred to the taxpayer for tracing within a limited amount of time. And where that person still could not be traced, then the amount will be withdrawn, and additional tax will be raised, penalty and interest will be imposed, and prosecution will follow for supplying false information or for making false claims. And then there were a few other minor issues that were raised. One of which was issues around input tax prior to April 2023. We can confirm to you that the system allows you to input those input taxes, and they are taken in and they are applied automatically to any VAT liability the taxpayer may have. Also, there was the issue of inability to claim input tax where the input tax is greater than the output tax. First of all, we know that based on the operation of Section 17 of the Act, input tax should ordinarily not be greater than output tax. However, we recognize that there are very few instances where this could happen. And if it does, then the system will allow you to have the excess credit, the excess input tax on your account as a taxpayer, which is available to offset future tax liability, that's VAT liability, or which, if the taxpayer so desires, may request for a refund. Another minor issue that was raised, which we have also verified that it has been resolved, was the claim or the claim that, schedules that have more than 1,000 records is not allowed on the system. We can confirm to you that the Taxpro Max, as currently inaugurated, can handle schedule having more than 1,000 records per schedule. What we observe is that sometimes due to connection issues, where the number of records are very many, the system may slow down or may even freeze up. And that is not a problem with Taxpro Max itself or your own system. It is merely a communication problem, and which you and I know that Nigeria, we are still improving on our level of telecommunication. And so we can counsel that if you experience that, you may decide to break down the schedule into smaller bits, maybe 300, 200, depending on the volume you are trying to upload. Now, we presently now go into the update that is coming, which will be implemented from June. That's from next month. It does not affect this month's filing. It will kick off from next month. So for your transactions in the month of April, which is due not later than 21st of this month, you can file your returns as you have been doing before. You will not experience any issue. And if you already have the new schedules for sales, for purchases, the system will also allow you to do so. So the system is free for you this month in your filing. Beginning, however, with transactions in May, we are now it's going to be mandatory that if any taxpayer is claiming input tax on domestic purchases, that taxpayer must upload a purchases schedule. If a taxpayer is going to claim credits for VAT withheld, that's output tax withheld, then there must be a schedule for withheld VAT, which must be uploaded to the system. And similarly, for input tax on imports, you must upload a importation schedule. And like I indicated, the template will be fully available on Taxpro Max before the filing date in June. Now, the steps that we apply, I just want to illustrate for clear understanding of how the system will run beginning from next month.
The difference is not clear.
Yes, pardon the break in transmission. Mr. Bojibola will be back to continue his presentation. There's been a network timeout, please. Thank you. Just within a few minutes, he'll be back. Thank you.
Hello, good morning. SA Media, can you provide the email address of the Taxpro Max help desk and our general help desk so that people who have issues can email their problems, specific problems, not for this general webinar?
I'm very sorry. The network decided to have a break, and I had to change to my personal modem. My apologies. I don't know if you can hear me now.
Please go ahead. We can hear you. Hello?
Yes, all right. I will share my screen again. I think I lost it
Steps.
while while on the steps. So my due apologies. All right. I hope you can see my screen now. I will start again from step 1. I was explaining that step 1 will take off from month 1, and that will be the month of transaction. And for the purposes of this illustration, let's use the month of May. So as a taxpayer, you do your transactions between the 1st and 31st of May. Step 2 will happen in month 2, and that will be between 1st of June to 21st of June. This is the month that is following the month of transaction. And under the law, taxpayers must file returns of VAT that in respect of transactions that happened in month 1. So in May, all the transactions that you have done, the return comes in June. Step 3 will still happen in month 2. And that's going to be between the period of the time the taxpayer has filed its returns and the end of the month. So if we assume that the taxpayer files his returns by 21st of June, then between 21st of June and 30th of June, Taxpro will attempt to begin to match all input tax claimed, whether on domestic purchases or imports, and also all output tax claimed to have been withheld, begin to match the data to begin to verify the claims that the taxpayer had made. Step 4 will happen in month 3, which is the month of July. And what happens there is all the transactions that the system could not match will come out as an exception report to the service. And then we use all our resources across the country to trace either the supplier in respect of input tax claim, or customs in respect of input tax claim on importation, or a company that has been authorized to withhold in respect of VAT withheld. So for the whole month of July, we will use all our resources to trace such persons. Once we are able to get them, then the taxpayer who had filed those claims are free, and then they can go on. But if we are not able to find them, that's when we'll revert back to the taxpayer. Step 5, which works concurrently with step 4, is that as we trace suppliers, trace people who have withheld VAT, of course, we institute action to get our money from them if they have not paid. And then for those that are not traced, we'll refer them immediately to the taxpayer to notify them that this is your claim. We could not locate the person whom you claim you have either paid to or had withheld your VAT. And then next one is step 6. Please forgive me, it's not step 5, it's step 6. Step 6 happens in month 4, and that will be the month of August. And that is when we refer back all issues that we have not been able to close to the taxpayer. And where those issues are still not resolved, then by way of additional assessment to the taxpayer, and of course, the necessary penalty and interest based on the law and prosecution will follow. But by every means, by month 4, all issues regarding the return must be closed. It will not go beyond month 4. So this is the illustration of the updated system when it becomes operational in the month of June. Thank you very much for your patience. And again, my apologies for the break in transmission. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. Our coordinating director, Compliance Support Group, I want to thank you for that wonderful presentation. On this note, I don't know if the Taxpro team are ready for us so that they can take their own presentation. Taxpro.
Yes, good day, sir. We are ready, sir.
All right, go ahead, please.
Okay, can I be enabled to share my screen, sir?
Yeah, go ahead, please. I think you're a panelist. You should be able to.
Okay. Okay. Okay, can you see my screen, please?
Yes, we can see it. Go ahead.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, sir, good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon, my coordination directors. Good afternoon, our esteemed taxpayers. I'm glad to have you online. Thank you for valuing our time. On the new updated system, like you have it when you log in, you're going to have the sales schedule, purchases, sales adjustment, and the VAT form. We're going to have an additional, like the coordinator director earlier said, from next month, you're going to have an additional schedule, which is going to be the purchases schedule. It's no longer going to be this kind of schedule. It's going to be the purchases schedule, which we are going to explain. No, so it's not going to be the claim as the cases. And also, he made rightly said that if you don't have any sales, but you have to put 0 or whatever. If you don't have any sales, you can just click on the currency of the entire transaction and proceed. It will allow you to go to the next page without having to put any 0. But should you, if you are going to upload any schedule that is going to be have an input claim along the line, example is, let me upload one here. Let me use this, and I upload this. You can see it will include the names of these entities here. So if you don't have the tin of any of the entities who are going to be making any claim, then you have to put 0 in the tin, because the place will not just go be an empty space. But if you don't have any sales that for the period or anything, just click on reset. Click on reset. Everything will be wiped out. Sorry. Everything will be wiped out. So select the currency of return, and then you just proceed without having any problem. Okay. So I will upload this again one more time because we need it to use it in the next form. So that particular issue of entering 0 or not 0, even if you don't have sales for the period, has been addressed at the moment. So I'm trying to upload a sales schedule. So like we said, going forward, you're also going to have a purchases schedule, just like the sales schedule, which is going to include the name of the buyer, the TIN and the name of the seller, the TIN of the seller, and other details as might be required. The template will be provided, just like we have provided one of the templates here with you to as a sample template. So I'll click on proceed. Sorry, my connection is coming back. Sorry, please. Okay, let me click this schedule. Sorry, the network is a bit erratic. Sorry, please. Okay. Now we have the sales schedule here. I'm going to upload it. And we have uploaded. So we're going to click proceed. Okay, I've not selected the currency of return. Proceed. This is where you're going to have the purchases schedule in the next filing season. You have a schedule here which is going to be uploaded. So I'll proceed here. This is a sales adjustment. I don't need it here for now, so I'll proceed to the next form. So now we have total sales. This column was previously disabled. It's going to come from the input claims, but now we have opened this particular thing.
Yeah. Sorry, it's like your system is echoing. I don't know if there's another system on beside you. Can you help us look at that? It's echoing. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, sorry. Okay. So are you still having that feeling?
It's better now.
Thank you very much. So this was a field that was actually domestic purchases that was actually disabled. So now you can claim whatever value you want to type here, so that you will have your purchases, and based on this purchases, the system will automatically compute your output, your input VAT. Also, your purchases, import purchases that was also disabled has not been able. So you can actually enter any of your values that you have sold, which you so wish to claim, and then the system will also. This is your import purchases. The system will compute the VAT for that period. So it's going to add the import purchases and the local purchases to give you your actual output VAT. So your output VAT also, line 190, which was previously disabled, now has been enabled for you to claim also your retail VAT from any source. So like usual, what we have been doing previous month is also to write the values openly, open text, and that is it. So this is the recent update done between yesterday till today, based on the directives, and the further upgrade for the schedules is going to appear in the next filing seasons as directed. So from here, one can just proceed to make the submissions and make a payment. So thank you very much. Over from here.
Thank you, Mr. Bilaminu, for that presentation. This junction will be taking questions from our participants. If you have questions, contributions, suggestions, observations on how to improve the system, so the floor is open now. You can just signify by raising up your hands so that I will now call you to ask your question. Mr. Dewale Ayegunle, are you there, please? Can you unmute yourself and address us, please? Mr. Dewale, are you there? Shetima, please, can you unmute him? Maybe he's muted.
Yeah, it's done. Let him unmute yourself.
Huh?
Mr. Adewale, please unmute yourself.
Maybe he's not there.
Maybe the next person.
Mr. Morani KG, Onaderu, are you there? Mr. Morani KG. Mr. Morani KG, are you there?
I'm here.
Oh, yeah, go ahead, please, and talk to us, please.
I didn't raise my hand.
Your hands is up.
Oh, sorry, maybe that's a mistake.
Okay.
Let me just lower my hand. Yes.
Adekunle Sonton, are you there? Mr. Adekunle, are you there? Mr. Adekule, are you there? Mr. Jimo Latif. Mr. Jimo Latif. Can you unmute yourself and address us, please? Okobi, are you there? Okobi. Ifeoluwa, are you there? Ifeoluwa. Edawole, Ifeoluwa. Adeoti Monsuru. Adeoti. Adeoti Monsuru. Yeah,
Can you hear me,
ahead.
sir?
Yeah, I'm hearing you. Go ahead, please.
Okay, thank you very much. I want to use this opportunity to commend the FRS for their efforts so far. But there is one particular issue which I would like the FRS to expedite action, particularly on the foreign VAT. You know, in Nigeria, we have some clients. We have some company, for instance, there are some companies that are issuing invoice in foreign currency, and they are going to be charging VAT. And that VAT is going to serve as input VAT for another company. And now, Taxpro have not incorporated foreign currency filing. We have to be doing foreign currency filing manually. So if, for instance, someone who have suffered a foreign currency VAT, the person that remit the VAT remit in foreign currency and file the VAT return manually, you know, that payment will not reflect in the tax room because currently it is only Naira withholding VAT that actually reflects. So can you advise us on how to go about, because this is going to create a lot of issues for particularly for clients who majorly their company, their own clients are majorly those who issue invoice to them using a foreign currency. I don't know if you understand my question, sir.
Yes, there will be response to that question at the appropriate time. Thank you. Mrs. Dr. Titilayo Foyokon, are you there? Please, can you unmute her to speak to us? Dr. Titilayo Foyokon. Dr. Foyokon, are you there?
Allowed me. Okay. Thank you. Good afternoon. The EC, the coordinating directors, consultants, and fellow tax practitioners on the call. I think I should first of all appreciate the FIRS for this fiat that they have done. In fact, it has made automation of tax processes to become a reality, and we are going to get better. There are just two things that I would like to say, and it's more like coming from the angle of one from what, the two from what Mr. Bojubola said, in terms of where you have excess input VAT claim allowable. So maybe you can just help us shed some light on that aspect, because I guess there's some reservation about how you will be able to claim that. He expressed those reservations, and at the same time said that it's been allowed now. So we need some more him to shed some light on that. And secondly, I've seen the timeline for going forward. We have the month 1, month 2, month 3. But I just want to look at it from the angle of learning curve. We are all getting this into our life, and we are even getting better. But maybe the FRS will have to also look at this, because I'm not sure we would all get it at the same time, and the learning curve would not be the same for everybody. So maybe you can probably look at that timeline of month 1 to 3 and see if there can be some further extension to allow for learning. Be as it may, we'll keep improving. I just want to solicit for that consideration in terms of whatever is going to be done as we go along, considering that we might have more increased number of schedules, vendors, suppliers. This might, as time goes on, the learning will go on. So just wanted to look at it from the issue of the big businesses and see how this can be also addressed. Overall, I think we are going in the right direction, and I want to say that the FRS has really done a lot to make the automation of tax processes or tax administration a reality, but we can get better. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, ma'am, for that contribution. Mrs. Florence Olatunjoye, are you there? Florence Olatunjoye, please, you are with us. Unmute and ask your question. Florence Olatunjoye.
Can you hear me? I want to ask them about the. Hello?
Yeah, go ahead, please.
Okay. After filing on Taxpro, that means we'll make our payments on eCitizen, because that's what we've been doing early this year. So I don't know if it has changed.
Okay, our technical people will respond.
Okay.
Huh?
Sorry, are you through with your question, please?
That's what I want to know. I want clarification on that.
Okay, you'll be responded to at the appropriate time.
All right.
Mr. Lukman Akonde, are you there? Lukman Akonde.
Okay.
Huh?
Lukman Akonde, are you there?
Please, the technical team, help us mute everyone who had finished speaking, please.
Ketima, can you mute those that have finished speaking, please? Then permit Lukman Akonde to speak to us, please. Mr. Kayode, are you there? Please unmute him to speak to us. Kayode, are you there? Bashar Musa Idris.
Okay, I've just unmuted myself. Good afternoon, everyone. And my question is, yes, please.
All right, go ahead, please.
My question is actually to seek clarification from Mr. Boju, based on Mr. Bojubola's presentation. He says that input VAT should be done to the extent of items that are being sold. So if that is the case, what happens to items that I have sold but have not collected money. So do I need to file output VAT for those?
Okay, is that all?
No, secondly, when we're looking at VAT to the extent, VAT input to the extent of goods have been sold, a situation whereby there are so many inputs in the manufacturing output, how do you carve that out? I think it's going to be problematic and clumsy, really. That's my contribution and my question. Thank you.
All right, thank you. We'll respond to that question. Let's take another question before our CD respond to those questions. Mr. Muyiwa Adeyemo, are you there? Muyiwa Adeyemo. Please, can you unmute him to speak to us? Muyiwa Adeyemo.
Hello, good afternoon.
Yeah, go ahead, please.
Okay, my question is regarding the sales schedule. One month's output VAT is another month's input VAT. So I want to ask, why are we encouraging taxpayers to input zero? I think we should encourage everybody, when you are preparing your sales schedule, you must include the TIN of your customers, because my guess is by the time you include the TIN, I'm thinking that is when the VAT can be credited against or correct me if I'm wrong, against it will show as input VAT for your customer. So, but if the taxpayer has inputted zero, is that not, is this still going to show? Because there will be nothing that will connect the VAT for the customer for him to be able to claim it. So I think we should be encouraging everybody. You must know when you do business with someone, you must try and get their TIN so that you can, when you're preparing your sales schedule, the TIN must be included so that your customer will be able to get the credits against and their tax remarks. Thank you.
Thank you very much. At this junction, let me invite our CD to respond to some of those questions before we take another round of questions. My CD, sir.
Thank you very much, Wisdom, and thanks, colleagues, for those questions. I'm not going to be the only one to respond to this. Some of my colleagues who are on the call, particularly the Taxpro team, are also going to help us resolve some of these ones. But let me run through the ones I can do, and then my colleagues are also able to complement whatever I've said, and then of course Taxpro Max will need to answer some of them. Adeoti Monsuru, thank you very much for your question. As regard foreign currency, I'm sure the Taxpro Max will speak on that, because I know that a lot of work had been done to update the system to accommodate filing of foreign transactions. But then don't let me speak for them on that. But the other aspect I noted from that discussion is issue of conversion, particularly where the taxpayer who is claiming the input tax is filing in Naira, and then has input tax that has been paid in foreign currency. I have noted this. I will work internally to provide a solution to that, that will enable seamless conversion of such input taxes for the purposes of rendering returns. My business partner, that's Dr. Fowokon. Dr. Fowokon, what do we mean by this excess input tax? The issue that taxpayer complained about was that the system was not allowed them to file their returns where they are claiming more input tax than output tax. That was the issue. And of course, the system ordinarily will literally interpret section 17. But again, we also understand that there could be one or two instances where input tax could actually be more than the output tax. And so that is what we've been able to tweak the system to enable such filing. I mean, that's what we are talking about there. Now, as touching the timeline, one thing we understand is that we will continue to learn. And learning here is not one-sided. Even FRS, our Taxpro team, all of us, we are learning as we are doing. And the best way for us to learn is to engage and not to kick the can down the road. So let's start now. Let's start the learning now. If we are saying we are extending the time for this to kick in, we will still have to learn when we get there. So I think that is the point here. But your point is well made. But it's better now, we start now, do the learning as quickly as we can, and then we get better as we go on down the line. Florence Oladunjoye, how about payments? I'm sure my colleagues from Taxpro will speak to this. I know there are different channels for tax payments and all of that, but let me leave that for them to handle. Mr. Kayode Sumola, thank you very much for your comment. Talking about issues limiting input tax to, or tying input tax to sales without consideration for collection. Don't forget that there's room for adjustment. And one of the adjustments that could be made is for uncollected sales, since we know that currently the law mandate payment of VAT based on collection. So you can always make your adjustment where there are uncollected sales. Carving out unsold item that can be problematic, particularly if they have gone into production and all of that. Again, I think section 17 is very clear as to what input tax can be claimed. And it's also very simple to limit it to purchases that have been used as stock in trade. I mean, that has become part of cost of goods sold. I mean, for those of us who are accountants. And so if it is still in stock, it still remains in stock. When it is sold, of course, it can be recognized and granted. And the system that we have currently can track inventory as they come in from purchases or production, and also as they are sold. Mr. Muyiwa Adeyemo, yes, you are right. Everyone should include TIN in the customer schedule, but we also recognize that it is difficult for some others, some businesses. For example, businesses that are selling to end users. If you take a supermarket, for example, or you take an hotel, for an example, it will be difficult for them because they deal largely with individuals. Some of them may have TIN, some may not even have. And for such people, they don't claim input tax. I mean, you and I, when we buy things, we no longer claim input tax. It's only businesses that require input tax. And those ones are the one that is mandatory that their input taxes be put in, so that when they come in to claim for input tax, for their TIN to be inputted into the system, so that when they come to claim the input tax, the system can match the TIN together and grant the input tax. But I'm sure as the system is evolving and developing, and our society is also developing, we might be able to get to a point where everyone has TIN, whether individual or corporate bodies. So I think let me yield the floor now to my colleagues from Taxpro team. Let them respond to some of the issues, and any of my colleagues on the floor can also help us here. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for your responses to those questions. The Taxpro team, we want to throw more lights or any?
Okay, sir. With regards to the first question regarding foreign payments, Yes, it's in the pipeline, and very soon, distance time, you'll be able to do foreign assessment. It has to do with an offshore payment service provider, but we're almost there as a service, and we assure you, distance time, you will be able to conclude that. That is one. Also, for the claims that you're going to be done, since right now the claims have been open, so you are not actually restricted. Before, when we open it, when we integrate the foreign payment service providers, you'll be able to convert those claims so that you can actually use it on your normal batch filing. And then there are many service providers locally, madam, when you finish filing your VAT or any of your associate taxes, you should be able to select when you generate payment reference number, you are generating it based on a particular payment gateway. At the moment, we have about 3 payment gateways, and we intend to add more. So you can select any of the payment gateways you so wish, and then click generate to generate a payment reference number to you, which you can conclude online. Or if you don't have the option to go online, you can walk into any bank and present the payment reference number to them. If they have those payment reference number terminals, they will be able to consume, and your payment will be finalized. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We take more questions. Dr. Benga Adeoye, are you there, please? Dr. Benga Adeoye, please, can you unmute him to talk to us? Dr. Benga Adeoye. Dr. Benga Adeoye, are you there? Okay, Ismail Babatunde Yunus. Ismail Babatunde Yunus. If you are there, please unmute and talk to us. Okay. Olushola Adalumo, are you there? Olushola Adalumo. Shetima, please, can you give them access to speak to us?
Yeah, some of them are not responding.
Okay. So they need to unmute themselves. I thought you can unmute them.
Even I give the permission.
Okay. All right. Fagulu Adimola Shegun. Fagulu, Mr. Fagulu, are you there? Christiana Olumuyiwa, are you there? Christiana Olumuyiwa.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon, everyone.
Please. Go ahead, please.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Okay, my question is about companies that sells to end users, as you said, and they have large transactions. I feel it will be cumbersome in terms of putting them one by one on the schedule. Is there any other way, maybe to put them in bulk or, aggregate them together rather than clicking it, inserting it one by one? Is there any other way that the schedule can be done instead of just taking each item, each goods that is being sold, instead of recording it one by one on the schedule? If you get my question, sir.
All right, thank you. Akilolu Arowolo. Akilolu Arowolo, are you there? Akilolu, please unmute and speak to us.
Hi.
All right. Go ahead. Go ahead,
everybody. Thank you for the presentation, and thanks to the FIRS for doing their best to make our lives easy as customers. I'm not a tax auditor, I'm a customer, and my business buys a lot of raw materials from local markets, from traders who are usually they are happy to give you invoices, but when you ask them for their tin, some of them don't have. I just want to ask what will be done for our VAT inputs to verify some of these customers. Would it be a situation of going to their physical address, or what would be done if we cannot get their TIN numbers? Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Ms. Indukwe Ude, are you there? Indukwe Ude, please, are you there? Unmute and speak to us. You are there, please. Indukwe, are you there? Kafayat Johnson, are you there? Kafayat Johnson, please unmute and speak to us. You are there, please. Kafayat, are you there?
Yes, hello, good morning.
Good morning. Please go ahead with your questions.
Okay, thank you very much. I really appreciate this interactive section that FIRS has actually put together for us. Firstly, I would like to ask, when you sell to a customer, let's say you sold 100,000 naira worth of goods and the customer only paid 70,000 naira as at the month that you are remitting your VAT, and you still have 30,000 naira to be recovered from the customer. How do you treat that? Then secondly, I've been trying to upload a VAT return. The only one I was able to do was the one that has a new return. The one that I'm meant to impute and upload sales, I've been unable to do it for days now. Hello?
Yeah, go ahead, please. We're hearing you.
So I've been unable to upload it for like days. I had to stay up till past 12 last night. And yet till this morning, I've been unable to upload.
Okay, is that all?
Yes, please. Thank you very much.
We'll respond to those questions at the appropriate time. Thank you very much.
Right. Thank you.
Oluwaseyi Oyewole, are you there? Can you unmute and speak to us? Oluwaseyi Oyewole. Oluwaseyi, are you there?
Hello, yes, I am.
Go ahead, please.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, loud and clear. Go ahead.
Yes. I have a question and I have an observation. First one, the question. I want to. I'm unable to find where to upload my sales that I've suffered withholding VAT at source. Right. On the Taxpro Max, what I see is sales schedule, purchase schedule. I'm not seeing where I can also put in the schedule for the sales I've made, but then my customer, they've deducted the VAT at source because they're required to, like oil and gas, money deposit banks like that. That's the question. Then the observation is that it relates to the money deposit bank deducting of withholding VAT at source, right? I would like that the FIRS gives out a circular to banks in general, because most of these banks, they don't understand what it means to be a money deposit bank. I have microfinance banks also withholding VAT at source, merchants banks, mortgage banks, and that's not so, because according to the circular the FIRS released, money deposit bank, according to the definition of CBN, is who are meant to deduct the withholding VAT at source. And I've checked the CBN list for money deposit banks. The microfinance banks and the likes are not part of them. So I think FIRS needs to sensitize those guys and they should act accordingly, because I have to upload them as sales that have suffered withholding VAT at source, but it shouldn't be so. I should be the one remitting the VAT, not them. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Is Ejiro there? Ejiro, are you there? Can mute and speak to us?
Thank you. Thank you once again for this interactive session. The question I just want to ask is just a bit of clarity. For the input VAT, for this month, is that option of us uploading or imputing manually still available? Or the new option of uploading our purchase, which I saw when the Taxpro Max team was doing a display, is that what we're doing, or that will be effective next month?
All right. I will respond to your question, the appropriate, and thank you very much. Is Deji there? Deji, if you are there, unmute and speak to us, please. Deji. Deji, are you there? Okay. Olani Adegbite, are you there? Olani Oladegbite.
Hello?
Yeah, go ahead, please.
Yeah. Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
And good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, and thank you for this wonderful presentation. Some of the things I actually want to talk about has been discussed, but I just want to add one or two things to some of them. With reference to the filing on the input VAT, Mr. Bojibola says we should put 0 when we are trying to upload. But when Bilamini was talking, he said it has been updated and that we don't need to put 0 on it again. Please, we would like him to put more light on that, more light on it, so that we can actually know which one of the two that should be done. Secondly, there are some input VATs that were not claimed in the past month, sometimes disappeared. For example, for a company that filed nil returns last month, so when the input VAT pops up last month, but because it doesn't have anything, it had to file a nil return. But unfortunately for the current month, all the input VATs that were seen, that were on the system, on the portal of the FRS, everything has disappeared this month. How do we reclaim that? How do we trace that one back? Thirdly, if there were some sales schedule that were omitted, especially some transactions were omitted from the sales schedule last month. So you now remember, the company now remember, oh, I missed this, I forgot this, we didn't do this, we didn't do this. Why doing their reconciliation? If they have to put it back, will they have to put it back for the current month? Because the date of transaction was, for example, March, and you're filing for April. So how do we go about that? Should they add it to the current month filing with a schedule, or there's another process that it has to go through? Fourth, then the treatment of issues with reference to VAT on sales returns. For example, a sale was made in February, but unfortunately the sales was returned in April, and the VAT treatment can be applied for both input and output. But the sales was returned in the month of May. How do we go about the VAT that has been filed? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for those questions. We are going to respond to them. We'll still take more questions before.
Wisdom, let's treat this one so that
all right, sir. Go ahead, sir.
All right. Again, I want to say very big thank you to colleagues for these questions. I think we'll start with the question on taxpayer with very large No, I think I should start with DMO. I don't know whether it was one of the one treated before. Yeah, I think Muyiwa DMO was wanting to know. No, I think we have treated that one. It's number 6. So taxpayers with very large transactions, can they aggregate? We will advise you not to aggregate. The reason is because you never know. A customer may want to come and claim input tax. And so if you have aggregated, it will be very difficult to isolate that transaction. And that is why the sales schedule is transaction by transaction. But what we can also recommend to you is that you should join the FRS VAT platform. There is a VAT platform wherein your company system talks to FRS system line by line. And so you really don't need to do anything. The system can provide to our system transactions as they occur line by line. So at that instance, you may not have problem with uploading, because then we will have had all your transactions, particularly if you are in the let's say supermarket or you are a bank or you are hotel and all of that. It becomes a lot easier for you to manage the volume of transaction. But maybe in the meanwhile, one of the things you can do, but please, I'm not an ICT expert, so just laugh at me if I get it wrong. I believe you can also ask your system to export your sales data into a CSV file. I'm sure those who know better, they know how to handle that. And so once you export to CSV file, then you can then upload. Just be careful to ensure that all the necessary information or details are provided in the table. Number 7, Mr. Kinolu is talking about input tax from businesses that have no TIN. There are some businesses that may not have TIN, particularly those who are below the threshold that has been set by law. So it's not compulsory for them to issue VAT invoice, and so it's not compulsory for them to charge VAT. And actually, they should not charge VAT since they are not going to remit. And we will counsel that when you are buying from such businesses, you have to be sure you are not paying VAT. Because if you do, the system will not be able to grant you input tax that you may want to claim in respect of those purchases. And we will strongly advise that you patronize only businesses that have TIN and that will remit your input tax that you pay to them. I think this is just an advice. And of course, it's not binding on you. But the consequence may be that when you want to claim the input tax, we may not be able to grant them. Kafayat Johnson, what happens when we have part payments for sales? I mean, again, there is ability to do adjustment. So you can always do an adjustment on the system to indicate that certain amounts of the sales had not been collected. On the issue of inability to file returns with sales schedule, I will allow the Taxpro team to respond to that. Number 9, Mr. Oluwaseyi Oyewole. Wisdom, I was going to find you because where you murdered that name is Oyewole.
I'm sorry, sir.
Schedule of MVAT, is it ready? Can it be used now? Again, I will defer this to the Taxpro team, and they will tell us on that. Your observation on definition of money deposit bank is very correct. We can confirm to you that we have dealt with that issue. Tax policy team had made that clear that money deposit bank is as defined by the CBN. but your request for a circular, we will take note of that, and we will do so if we consider it very necessary. Otherwise, we find other means to educate those non-money deposit bank to be sure that they are not part of those who are mandated to withhold VAT. Mr. Ejiro, how do we treat purchases scheduled in May? Again, I will defer to the Taxpro team, and they'll be able to explain to us because that is their own bit. Mr. Olani Adegbite, use of zero or not. Again, I think if you listen to my colleague from Taxpro team, he explained to you that where we are going, and which I also said in my presentation, is that we are going to make that field to become mandatory. But as at now, for May, you will need to either put the TIN, if you have it, or you put the figure 0. However, if our team had been able to do the update and it's working immediately, they will confirm to us. But what we have agreed is that beginning from June, that field requiring a TIN of customers will become non-mandatory. But immediately now, you need to put either the TIN or you put 0. But then, again, my response is based on the system as at yesterday. If it has changed today, then our team will confirm to you. Previous input tasks that are disappearing, again, I will get my Taxpro team to respond to that. How do we treat transactions that are omitted, sales that are omitted? That's a very good question. Number one, we didn't anticipate that taxpayers will omit transactions. And the way the law is written does not expect taxpayers to omit transactions. But then, now that you have raised the issue, I think it's an issue we will look at because VAT is a periodic issue and they must be treated in the month that the law said they should be treated. But if for any reason you discover that, oh, I didn't report this transaction, I think you should report it as soon as you have discovered, particularly when you are filing the next return. Because once you have closed a return and there are no pending issue, you may not be able to go back and amend them, particularly if it's going to affect the tax liability. Because once you close your return, it will generate your liability and raise for your ability to pay. So I think we will discuss internally whether we are going to have ability for you to do supplementary return. We'll come back on that. Otherwise, you will need to add it to the next immediately pending return. Of course, you also know that you may also now become liable to interest and penalty for payment not made as and when due. But again, we will look at this because it's a very good one you have raised for us. I will look at it back end, and then we will be able to communicate fully on how to deal with transactions that might have been omitted, either advertently or inadvertently. Sales returns. So if you have returns, again, the systems allow you to do an adjustment to prior sales that you have reported, which has now been returned. So you are able to do that also on the system. There's a line for that. So let me pass the baton to my colleagues. So let's take the Taxpro first, and then any other colleague can come in.
Okay, thank you, sir. Good afternoon once again. Now, with regards to this issue of entering 0 or not 0, if you are going to specify you don't have any transaction for the month, then you don't need to specify 0. We have enabled the system whereby just click on proceed without even entering anybody's name. But so long as you are going to have somebody's name, you will have to provide the TIN. And if you don't have the TIN for now, then you have to put 0. Because it cannot just be empty. But in the event you don't have any transaction for the period, you don't have to put any zero, you just proceed. So it's simple. But if you have a name, then there's a corresponding zero or a corresponding thing to that, because the column must accept a figure. So it has to be 0 or 18. But if you don't have any transaction or no claims for the period, no sales for the period, you don't have to put any zero, just proceed, you are good to go. Now, with regards to the disappearing, it isn't really actually disappeared. It's now in the background. Why? Because the claims that you are making before are based on those credits. But now the claims are not based on those credits. The claims are based on what you enter, subject to validation. So the credits at the background we use to validate whatever you have entered. So that is why it's a free text for you to enter. So the credits earlier assigned for the past few weeks or 10 days by the system have now been taken to the back end, whereby it's going to now be compared to what you have now keyed it into the system. Thank you.
Thank you very much. For the sake of our Muslim brothers and sisters, I want to go and pray by 1 o'clock. I don't know if there are still contributions from the management team. We have some CDs here with us. I don't know if they would like to make some contributions to today's discussion. Then for those of us that have questions, it's been displayed on the screen. Stakeholders, feedback@frs.gov.ng. So you can send in your questions and we can assure you will respond to them. On this note, I don't know, the ECFRS is still there. Maybe he wants to give us a closing remarks where we put the webinar to a close. So that we can allow our Muslim brothers and sisters that would like to pray by 1 o'clock. So we don't want to stay beyond that time.
Okay, Wisdom.
Yes, sir.
I think let me, on behalf of the executive chairman, thank all of our very esteemed taxpayers. And I want to thank you because the response was very massive. I think at a point I saw that we have up to 1,500 and almost 570 at a time. And that was very, very massive. So we want to say very big thank you. And to even all our own team, the Taxpro team, many of them are having sleepless nights working around the clock to resolve all the matters. I also want to say very big thank you. Let me say that this is not a once and for all. We will continue to have engagement continually. And if you have questions that have not been attended to, please send it to the email that has been displayed. And then we can assure you that we will attend to all of them. And so on behalf of the management and the board of the service, I say thank you and God bless you. Bye.
Thank you very much, sir. I want to thank you for all our participants for finding out time to be at this section. And we hope whenever we call upon you again, you avail us the opportunity to be there. Thank you once more again, and do have a wonderful day ahead. Thank you.